Hello, welcome to another daily reading. This is Exodus 12 and Luke 18. Just confirming. Yeah. Exodus 12, Luke 18. I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR, because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Greek to English, and Aramaic to English. Yah is the Elohim of the heavens and the earth, the first and the last and the only, and he's an extremely jealous Elohim. He's so jealous that he doesn't even want the names of idols or mighty ones to come to our lips. And Yah is short for YahWeh, 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 Yod-Heh, Vav-Heh, Yahuwah. It's like saying Dan, Daniel with an E. What is a difference and does matters when people say that Phil, Bob, Sam, and Aaron are the same name when no, they're not. And no one in their right mind would ever believe that, and only a fool would believe that a hammer could force its creator to do anything. And there was no letter J in the Hebrew, Greek, or Aramaic text because the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yahoshua the Messiah, sweat blood and was brutally murdered on a stake and resurrected on the third day for the sins of all of humanity. Spent 3 days in darkness and gnashing of teeth with flames for the sins of all of humanity. Over 2,000 years ago, in a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Yeshua, which is short for Yahoshua, is Joshua. When directly translated from Hebrew to English, Yeshua is Joshua. And the son of Elohim's name, Yahshua, means Yah is salvation. Yah will save his people from their sins. Please excuse my hiccups. Exodus 12. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, Mosheh, and to Aaron, Aharon, in the land of Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim, saying, This new moon is the beginning of new moons for you. It is the first new moon of the year for you. Speak to all the congregation of Yisrael. YISRA' with a half a check mark L, saying, on the 10th day of this new moon, each one of them is to take for himself a lamb according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beans, according to each man's need. You take your count for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats, and you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same new moon. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Israel shall slay it between the evenings, and they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. They shall eat it. Do not eat it raw nor boiled at all with water, but roasted in fire, its head and its legs and its inward parts, and do not leave of it until morning, and what remains of it until morning, you are to burn with fire. And this is how you eat it: your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. In other words, for me, it'd be I'd have my shoes on. I'd have like everything on that I would be. I'd have everything on that I would be taking with me to go on my adventures. My jacket. I'd probably have my backpack instead of my staff. All the stuff that I would take when I'd go out, I would put all that on before I started eating. And this is how you eat it: your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Pesah, P-E with a half a check mark, P-E with a half a check mark, S-A-H with a dot, which is Passover, of Yahweh. And I shall pass through the land of Mitzrayim on that night, and shall strike all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both man and beast, and on all the mighty ones of Mitzrayim I shall execute judgment. I am Yahweh, and the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I shall pass over you, and let the plague not come on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim. And this day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahweh throughout your generations. Celebrate it as a festival and everlasting law. Means it's never ending. Means you never, ever, 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 ever stop doing it. It is easier for the entire earth and all of heaven to pass away than for one tittle of Yahweh's law to be done away with. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you cause leaven to cease from your houses, for whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that being shall be cut off from Israel. And on the first day it is a set-apart gathering, and on the 7th day you have a set-apart gathering. No work at all is done on them, only that which is eaten by every being, that alone is prepared by you. So you can cook, but it can only be for you. It cannot be for anybody else. And you shall guard the festival of Matzot, Matzot, unleavened bread. For on this same day I brought your divisions out of the land of Mitzrayim, and you shall guard this day throughout your generations, an everlasting law. In the first month, on the 14th day of the new moon, in the evening you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the new moon in the evening. For 7 days no leaven is to be found in your houses, for if anyone eats what is leaven, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether sojourner or native of the land. Do not eat that which is leavened. In all your dwellings you are to eat unleavened bread. And Moshe called for all the elders of Israel and said to them, Go out and take lambs for yourselves according to your clans, and slay the Kêpha, and you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out of the door of his house until morning. And Yahweh shall pass on to smite the Mitzrites, and shall see the blood on the lintel and on the 2 doorposts. And Yahweh shall pass over the door, and not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. And you shall guard this word as a law for you and your sons forever. And it shall be when you come to the land which Yahweh gives you as he promised, that you shall guard this service. And it shall be when your children say to you, What does this service mean to you? Then you shall say, It is the Kêpha, slaughtering of Yahweh, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Mitzrayim, when he smote the Mitzrites and delivered our households. And the people bowed their heads and did obeisance, and the children of Israel went away and did so as Yahweh had commanded Moshe and Aaron, so they did. And it came to be at midnight that Yahweh struck all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Mitzrites. And there was a great cry in Mitzrayim, for there was not a house where there was not a dead one. Then he called for Moshe and Aaron by night and said, Arise, go out from the midst of my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go serve Yahweh as you have said. Take both your livestock and your herds, as you have said, and go. Then you shall bless me too. And the Mitzrites were strong on the people to hasten to send them away out of the land, For they said, "We are all dying," and the people took their dough before it was leavened, hence the unleavened bread, having their kneading bowls bound up in their garments on their shoulders. And the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moshe, and they had asked from the Mitzrites objects of silver and objects of gold and garments, and YahWeh gave the people favor in the eyes of the Mitzrites, so that they gave them what they asked, and they plundered the Mitzrites. And the children of Israel set out from Rameses, Rameses, to Sukkot, Sukkot, about 600,000 men on foot, besides the little ones, and a mixed multitude went up with them too. Also flocks and herds, very much livestock, and they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought out of Mitzrayim, for it was not leavened, since they were driven out of Mitzrayim, and had not been able to delay, nor had they prepared food for themselves. And the sojourner of the children of Israel who lived in Mitzrayim was 430 years. And it came to be at the end of the 430 years, on that same day, it came to be that all the divisions of YahWeh went out from the land of Mitzrayim. It is a night of watchings unto YahWeh for bringing them out of the land of Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. I'm pretty sure I said that. Mitzrayim. This is that night of watchers unto YahWeh for all the children of Israel throughout their generations. For all the children of Israel throughout their generations. And YahWeh said to Moshe and Aaron, "This is the law of the Pesach. No son of a foreigner is to eat of it, but any servant a man has bought for silver, when you have circumcised him, then let him eat of it. A settler and a hired servant does not eat of it. It is eaten in one house. You are not to take any of the flesh outside the house, nor are you to break any bone of it. All the congregation of Israel are to perform it." And another reason why you don't break any of the bones of it, because I believe that not a single bone of the Messiah was broken. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that not a single bone on his body was broken. All the congregation of Israel are to perform it. And when a sojourner sojourns with you and shall perform the Pesach to YahWeh, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and perform it, and he shall be as a native of the land. But let no uncircumcised eat of it. There is one Torah for the native born and the sojourner who sojourns among you. And all the children of Israel did as YahWeh commanded Moshe and Aaron, so they did. And it came to be on that same day that YahWeh brought the children of Israel out of the land of Mitzrayim according to their divisions. Luke 18, and he spoke a parable to them, that they should always pray and not lose heart, saying, in a certain city there was a certain judge, not fearing Elohim, nor regarding man, and a widow was in that city, and she came to him, saying, "Do right to me on my adversary," and he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, even if I do not fear Elohim, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubles me, I shall do right to her, lest by her continual coming she wears me out. And the master said, "Hear what the unrighteous judge said, and shall Elohim not do right by all means to his own chosen ones, who are crying out day and night to him, and being patient over them? I say to you that he shall do right to them speedily. But when the son of Adam, AD with a line underneath of it, AM, comes, shall he find the belief on the earth? And he also spoke this parable to come to some who relied on themselves, that they were righteous, and looking down on others, 2 men went up to the set-apart place to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood and began to pray with him this way: Elohim, I thank you that I am not like the rest of men, swindlers, unrighteous, adulterers, or even as this tax collector. Funny part is they're a Pharisee. They're the worst of the worst. I fast twice a week. I give tithes to all that I acquire. But the tax collector, standing at a distance, would not even raise his eyes to the heaven, but was beating his breast, saying, Elohim, show favor unto me, a sinner. I say to you, this man went down to his house declared right, rather than the other. For everyone who is exalting himself shall be humbled, and he who is humbling himself shall be exalted. And they also brought infants to him to touch them, but his taught ones, seeing it, rebuked them. But Yahushua called them to him and said, let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for of such is the reign of Elohim. Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the reign of Elohim as a little child shall certainly not enter into it. And a certain ruler asked him, saying, Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit everlasting life? So Yahushua said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. You know the commands: do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not bear false witness, respect your father and your mother. And he said, All these I have watched over from my youth. And hearing this, Yahushua said to him, Yet one you lack. Sell all that you have and distribute to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. But when he heard this, he became intensely sad, for he was extremely rich. And when Yahushua saw that he became intensely sad, he said, How hard it is for those who have money to enter into the reign of Elohim. For it is easier for a camel to enter through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter into the reign of Elohim.
My bad.
Dropped my book, threw everything down. I'm so sorry you had to put up with that. How dare I? Please forgive me. I was reading, and then it just slipped, and I thought I could catch it and just launched it. For it is easier for a camel to enter through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter into the reign of Elohim. And those who heard it said, And who is able to be saved? And he said, What is impossible with men is possible with Elohim. And Kêpha, K-E with a half a check mark, P-H-A, said, See, we have left all and followed you. And he said to them, Truly I say to you, there is no one who has left house or parents or brothers or wife or children for the sake of the reign of Elohim, who shall not receive many times more in this present time than in the age to come everlasting life. And taking the 12 aside, he said to them, See, we are going up to Jerusalem, which is Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, and all that has been written by the prophets about the Son of Adam shall be accomplished. For he shall be delivered up to the nations, and shall be mocked and insulted and spat upon, and having flogged him, they shall kill him. And on the third day he shall rise again. But they understood none of this, and this word was hidden from them, and they did not know what was being said. And it came to be that as he was coming near Jericho, Yerih with a dot O, which is Jericho, that a certain blind man was sitting by the way begging, and hearing a crowd passing by, he asked what it meant. And they reported to him that Yahushua of Nazareth, Natsareth, was passing by. Now he wasn't born in Nazareth, he just grew up there. And he cried out, saying, Yahushua, son of David, Dawid with a line underneath of it, which is David, have compassion on me. And those going before were rebuking him that he should be silent. But he was crying out much more, Son of David, have compassion on me. And Yahushua stopped and commanded him to be brought to him. And when he had come near, he asked him, saying, What do you wish me to do for you? And he said, Master, to receive my sight. And Yahushua said to him, Receive your sight, your belief has saved you. And immediately he received his sight and was following him, praising Elohim. And all the people, seeing it, gave praise to Elohim. Hallelujah.